Hi, I'm Suleika and welcome to Simplemente Suleika. If you're in the era of beauty, wellness, midlife, evolving, soft luxury, elevating, and the journey of becoming, you're in the right place. Today, I want to share with you my identity. Growing up, I didn't always have the language to identify who I was, but I always knew that I was shaped, and the way I was shaped, I was more than just one thing. I am Afro-Latina with infused heavily with Caribbean roots. Afro-Latina from Panama, Caribbean roots on my mom's side is Jamaican, and on my dad's side is Barbados. I have never been to Barbados, but definitely to Jamaica, and Jamaica is one of my favorite places to visit. Growing up in a home that it's all the way Panamanian in the US was beautiful. It was bright. It was lively. The doors was always open. People were always in and out. Each room was always filled day and night. Generations and generations of people lived together. So it was grandparents, parents, children, and cousins and aunts. I can't say there was ever a time in my life where I had privacy. It was just always family coming in, coming over to the US to start a new life. That's just how it always been. And the home was filled with Spanish and broken English, where some people will call it patois. And that was just my world at home. But Brooklyn raised me. I am a complete, proud, diehard Brooklyn girl in every single way. And I was raised in the 80s. And if you know anything about Brooklyn and Brooklyn in the 80s, you know exactly what I'm saying. While Brooklyn was rough, it was beautiful. While Brooklyn was scary, it was amazing. Growing up in Brooklyn, I learned very young how to be street smart, street savvy. It's like going to school, but you're not in school. The minute you left your door, it was a whole different world. And going out there, it's really like do or die. And not literally die, but you had to be equipped. And without equipment, you had to be equipped with the mind. Even young, I was going to the store on my own, crossing a big main street, 10 years old. And I can't say that I lived in the best neighborhood. I grew up in the hood. To be specific, I grew up in Flatbush. And a little bit about Flatbush. Flatbush, Brooklyn is that place where all immigrants congregated. It was that bubble. We did have a lot of immigrants too in Crown Heights, but Flatbush, it's a place where you will see a lot of people, oh, that's where all the coconuts live. So that was my bubble. And although most of the people were like-minded because everyone came to this country looking for a better living, most of the families kept their head down and did what they needed to do to get going. And they came with the expectation that their children, us, would just go to school and do what we need to do. That was just the goal. But what our parents who were immigrants failed to realize, that what was going on in the household was completely different once you left that door. Once you walked outside, you had to become American in every single way. So it was kind of like culture versus environment in that space for me. And it was pretty hard. It was pretty hard because I was navigating both the culture and the environment. And that at times wasn't the easiest. I remember at school, my name is Suleika. For a while, I went to private school, and the private school was predominantly West Indian. The owner of the building, she was West Indian. She was the principal. So that was easy. And not really, but it was easier. Once I started to go to public school, my teachers are Caucasians. I have children are being bused from different areas, and I am now outside of my bubble. And that was so hard for the simple fact, taking attendance, I would cringe. I could tell on the attendance sheet, whenever the teacher would get to my name, it would be a pause where I would say, please don't say it, please don't say it, please don't say it. And I'll raise my hand like, I'm here, I'm here. And it got to the point that she just got comfortable saying my last name, which was easier for her to pronounce. And although I grew up with this culture and pride and love and family and unity, I started to get the influence of what it was like being full American. And my teachers, to me, they spoke proper English. Everyone was just a little bit more proper. My family had an accent, and my name was Suleika. I remember there was a time in my life I was becoming irritated. And I know I could speak for myself and any child of immigrants. When their parents is here, you start to compare yourself to the 100% American children. You start to see the differences in yourself, whether they were black or white. The mindset was different. I remember having friends who had their own room so young, and that would never be a thing for me because someone was always stopping off, coming down from Panama, staying and then moving on, and then the next one. So it was like the headquarters sometime, and sometimes family members was the headquarters for us. For my mom, I remember when my mom came to this country, she stayed at family house until her and my dad were able to get themselves together. So that's just how it is for immigrants. And it was so bad growing up in Brooklyn, in a sense that I was so confused that at a certain point, I wanted to just be American. And what I would do is tell my friends that my name was Michelle. The reason for doing that, because at that time, I didn't even know the beauty. I didn't even understand the beauty of my name. All I knew is that these kids cannot pronounce it. They would say things like Zulubika, Shaka Zulu, or they would just come up with these weird names that did not speak to me. So I took it upon myself and had everyone call me Michelle. And I remember, I'll give you a quick story. My mom, she was so strict. She was so strict. We couldn't get on the phones. So we had a cutoff time, like when we could have phone calls and when we couldn't. But I also knew that my mom would go to bed at a certain time. So I would tell my friends, like, call me exactly at 8. Call my phone exactly at 8. And I would go in the kitchen and wait till the phone rings. I could just pick it up. Hello. And for some reason, the phone rang. One of my girlfriends was calling me, my friends. And my mom was not asleep, so she picked up the phone. Hello? And I could hear her from her bedroom, and I'm like, oh my God. I didn't hear the person, but I heard my mother said, Michelle, no, you have the wrong number. And my heart, boom, 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 it's just beating. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't call back, please don't call back. She called back again, and my mom again, hello? And Michelle, and I hear like, Michelle, and I could hear my mom like, who is Michelle? My mother said, how does she look? And she said, it's my friend, we go to the same school. She described me. I hear my mom getting out the bed. So I go in the fridge like looking like I'm looking for something, and I know that I'm in trouble. My mom came to me, she had the phone in her hand dangling. She's like, you tell somebody your name is Michelle? And I was like, yes, like so scared, that, yes. And the phone went boop, boop in my head 2 times. And I'm just like holding my head. And my mother told the person, her name is not Michelle. Her name is Suleika. Me and her dad gave her that name. When you call here, you ask for Suleika. My mother slammed the phone. And my mother said, little girl, how dare you? How dare you tell people that you changed your name? I named you Michelle. I named you Michelle. I didn't know what to say. So I started to cry and I said, Ma, when I'm in school, the kids make fun of my name. And my mom at the time, she couldn't connect with that, because my mom taught us to be proud of where we come from. My mom was very good with letting us know our background, and my grandmother was even great at letting us understand where, like, her roots, the Jamaican roots. They were great at that, and they always would be so proud, orgullosa de ser panameños. And I understood that, but I wanted to be outside, and my friends outside were not Panamanians. I just wanted to fit in. With that being said, as I got older, I had to learn to bring all the pieces together. And when you're getting older, you start to see different things. You start to see the pros and cons of being Panamanian, or just being an immigrant in this country and being cultured, right? I would see that in my home, it was always a party. Like, you were inviting, like, come over. Yes, you come, and everybody would get a meal. We cook big, really big, and I love that. I got to the place where it's like, I'm black, but I'm also this, and I'm also that, and I could talk like that, because all of that to me was fly. It was just fly. I did have an encounter though when I started to put the pieces together and walk in that pride. Like, I'm here, I'm in Brooklyn, but I'm this. I'm a lot of a lot. When I went into the job force and started to work, I then would always, for some reason, my first friends would be the girls, like the Black American girls. Those would be my first friends. And never like, oh, my first group of friends are like the other Spanish girls, or more like the European looking Spanish girls. Those were never my first friends. Those became my friends once they understood I knew their language. And I never felt a way to it until one day at work, I came in and I think I walked by and I was like, "Buenos dias, mujeres." One of the girls, and they were Dominican, she was like, "You speak Spanish?" She was like, "I was wondering where your name," she was like, in DR, some of the girls' name is Suleika, and I was wondering, like, where you got that name from. And I said, "You never wanted to ask?" She said, "No, I just assumed that you were a Black American." And I was like, I'm from Panama. And she said, "Panama?" This is where this hurted a little bit. She said, "Panama, they speak Spanish in Panama?" A part of me wanted to insult her, but I was already walking in my prideness. I was already walking in confidence that I said, "Yes, girl, they do speak Spanish." And although it stung, it took me some days, but then I realized, like, this poor child, she's not even educated, much less she's probably not educated enough in history or where she comes from. Because let's face it, a lot of other Spanish, I think Panamanians are the very few Latin countries that embraces their blackness. They are black, the majority, right? And there's Panamanians that won't embrace that. They feel that they're European Spanish, but for the most part, they embrace their blackness. A lot of other Latin countries, they don't. They just don't, for many reasons. And that was hard, and that's why I go back to say it's hard to identify yourself, because you don't want to align yourself with this. You don't want to align yourself with that mindset, or people that think like this, or people that look down on this group of people, or these people that would never want to be apart because they're too dark. I mean, my mom is high yellow, might come off look like a European Latin woman to many, but my dad is as dark as I don't know what. My cousins and them are dark skinned, and growing up, and that's another reason why racism was so hard to see or understand for us, a lot of immigrant children, because we came up with dark skin, fair skin, hair. We just didn't know how to separate the two. But I let that incident go and realize that people, not necessarily not ignorant, they just don't take the time out or to accept their culture and accept everything else that's going around, and knowing that there's a place to fit in for everybody. I was able to find my place where I fit in. Also, I had that experience with the Dominican girl but I also had experience with Black Americans telling me I am not Black. And I would let those things bother me. All my life, I was trying to prove to Black Americans that I was Black enough, right? Like, I'm Black. And then all my part of my life, not all my life, but in my younger days, I think I was trying to prove that outside of my bubbles. Because in my bubble, in my community in Flatbush, even the Black Americans was West Indians. Like, they embraced the culture. But once you leave your community and you're out in the world, out in the city, the big city, things looks different. And, you know, your parents want you to be a certain way, but there's no way you can be that way once you cross your door. Knowing my place, I'm Black, but also adding that extra flair that I call now, that extra sazon. Like, soy Afro-Latina. I am Black Africana. I am Black Afro-American. I am Latin Black. Whatever it is, I got so much other, there's more words to it, right? And then on top of that, I could switch it up and I'm infused with this. Now I don't even question who I am. I embody it in how I move, my style, my fashion, how I will do my hair, everything I do now today, I embody it. If the accent come out, it come out. If I feel like speaking in Spanish, I speak in Spanish, because I realize it's a skill. It's a skill that so many do not have. Our culture is vibrant, beautiful. My culture is just full of people that wants to love and is so inviting. I mean, it's just like an overflow of proudness and joy with the littlest thing. My culture, you know, most Panamanians did not come from much, but the way they would take time and take care of their homes and their apartments, not even their main homes, right? Not even their own homes. When it came to this country, you could just feel like the desire to keep everything in order. And when you step outside, to always look clean and neat and presentable, no matter what. If you had un centavo mean 1 cent, you should be this way. You should carry yourself that way. I am just not one thing. I am all of it. I am all of it. In Brooklyn, we'll say, you already know. Then I could say, ya tú sabes. And then I would say it, you done know. Either way, I can switch it up. And that's the part of me. Everything, my culture, my upbringing has shaped me to the woman I am today. And I couldn't be more proud. And in this season, stepping into becoming her, becoming that girl, I just had to let you guys know where it all started from. Thank you for watching. This world could use good people. We really, really need to have good people. Thank you for being that.